Welcome to another edition of Yankees Latest. I'm Marc Malusis, Fan Arch Network, and a good Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, one and all. Yankees coming off the 4-3 victory over the Tigers last night in Detroit. Snapped that losing streak, now 16 games over the 500 mark at 47-31 on the season. Have a 3-game lead in the American League East. So we'll get to the big storylines going on with the Bombers right now. As far as last night goes, yeah, good win. I mean, Chisholm, you're going to get the good and bad of Jazz Chisholm, and we'll get to that here momentarily. But I thought Rodon was okay. 5 1/3 innings of work, 6 hits. He allowed 3 earned runs, 5 Ks, 87 pitches. ERA is right around 3.7 right now. The concern you have about the Yankees is still, I mean, they left 6 on base. They were 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Obviously, the big knock was the big Chisholm home run in that top half of the 6th inning that negated a 2-1 deficit, gave the Yankees a 3-2 lead. They never trailed from that point forward. Tacked on another run, made it 4-2, win the game 4-3. The bullpen last night, when you look at Cruz, Hedrick, and obviously Bednar, who gave you a multi-out save, 5-out save for Bednar last night, I thought they were really, really good on the whole. So you win a baseball game Tuesday night in Detroit, win the game 4-3. You get a late inning home run by Jazz Chisholm, or a 6th inning home run to give you a lead, and the bullpen very, very good. Rodon on the whole, and we've talked about Rodon a number of times, each and every one of his starts here. It feels like on Yankees Latest, right here on the Fan Arch Network, and he was okay. I mean, I thought he was okay last night. The big storyline, obviously, was Jazz Chisholm, and he gives you the home run last night. And like I've talked about Chisholm before, and listen, I like Chisholm as a player. I do. I think he presents as something a little bit different, a little bit of personality, gives you a little bit of flair. He's athletic, can steal a base, 30-30 guy a year ago, can give you the power. I think he's athletically gifted when he is focused. And who doesn't enjoy a good lollipop, to be honest with you? And I think if you're going to grade out lollipops, blow pops are really, really good. Now, people might be watching this morning and be like, well, that's not the point, right? I mean, you got to be old school baseball. You can't go out there and be playing second base and the night before and be having a lollipop in your mouth, right? Just like you can't be doing this or you can't be doing that or showing up pictures and everything and the like. Listen, I don't disagree, right? It's a terrible look, right? When you look at, Mark Sanchez when he was a quarterback of the Jets eating a hot dog on the sideline during a Jet game, right? It just can't be happening, right? It really can't. And if you're Jazz Chisholm, it's a terrible look. That's not baseball. You saw Aaron Boone on with, talking Yankees on Tuesday throughout in the afternoon and saying that he was ticked off and pissed off about it, right? And, okay, well, fair enough, right? When you look at Boone, the manager. Here's the problem you have. Like I'm not gonna tell you that what Chisholm did was correct because it really wasn't. You can't be going out and playing defense in the field and having a green apple lollipop in your mouth. You just can't be doing it. You also can't be taking a bat in Fenway Park earlier in the regular season, as it was pointed out yesterday, and have a lollipop in your mouth either, which Boone did not know about. How did Boone not find out about it during the game? Like that's the concerning aspect of it too, right? When you look at it, how did he not know that it had transpired before during the regular season? And I like Aaron Boone. I really do. I mean, but that's what drives you crazy sometimes in terms of if you want baseball, and I'm not one of those guys where, I'm screaming at the cloud in the sky, and baseball's got to be definitively played in a certain way. I'm really not. I think you got to embrace personalities. I think you got to embrace guys being a little showmanship. I think we got to get a little bit away from the old school mentality of that you've got to go, A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E. Like I think you have to, there's got to be some variation to it. You got to embrace the personalities in the game. You've got to understand where the young viewer is going. You got to understand where the young viewer is taking in information, right? And how everything's going on digitally now in today's day and age, right? And you got to embrace the fact of promoting players. Like all the things that Major League Baseball has really had their head in the sand about for years. why they've fallen behind in terms of popularity. And I love the sport. You love the sport. Where you're watching me here on this Wednesday, you love the sport as well. We all love Yankees baseball. We all enjoy it. And I'm not telling you what Jazz Chisholm did was correct. It's not. But how does the manager not know about it? Like, that's the infuriating aspect of it. If we look at the Major League Manager now, in terms of what they're involved in and what their responsibilities are, in today's day and age of analytics, right? In today's day and age of analytics, where you look at a scenario and say, well, there's so many people that have a seat at the table, right? You're not necessarily in charge of the lineup card, not necessarily in charge of who's available when you're looking at, relievers during the course of the day. You're not in charge of who's exactly playing every single day. It's a big collaborative performance, right? It's everyone's got a seat at the table. Analytics has overtaken the sport, right? Heartbeat to the game. Torre used to tell Cashman about it before he was fired as Yankee manager, right? Got to remember that athletes, men are playing this game, right? That there's in between the ears, the heart. You can't, nothing that an analytics spreadsheet can go out there and judge and grade, right? With all that thing. But there's less and less responsibility on a manager now than there was 20 or 30 years ago. We are a long way away from a general manager, a president of a team going out there cutting a roster and hand it over to the manager and say, you manage this team as you see fit. It's your vision, right? That's no longer the case, right? Now it's a collaborative relationship. There's many people that play a role in terms of the vision of the organization and how it plays out on the field, right? What you value in hitters, what you value in pitchers, what you value in terms of pitch repertoire, what you value in terms of how you're going to attack opposing pitchers, right? Analytics has become more important than advanced scouting reports and the eyeball test, all the things that we see. But the point being is not saying that managers have played no role or that they're there and it's like Pinocchio, right? It's not that. It's just a case of less and less is on the manager. One of the things that is on the manager is paying attention, right? Paying attention. Watching what is going on the field. The question I have for you on this Tuesday is, how does Aaron Boone not know until after the game that Jazz Chisholm, because I'm sure somebody pointed out during the course of the broadcast that Chisholm was having a lollipop during, while he was in the field defensively, and said it was getting coverage on the broadcast, so you better know about it, right? How does Aaron Boone not know about it when he's sitting in the dugout watching the game? How is that a possibility? How does he not know that Jazz Chisholm went up to the batter's box up at Fenway Park against the Red Sox, and it happened earlier in the regular season where he had a lollipop? Right? How does that happen? Why do you need to have a conversation after it's brought to your attention when you're the manager of the team? Like, we can go and say, well, the manager has less and less responsibilities now than he did 25 or 30 years ago on the major league level. And all that is true, right? One thing you need to do is you need to pay attention. One thing that still is in, what you need to do on a day in, day out basis is you need to make sure the clubhouse is in order. You need to make sure that, everything's cross the T's, dot the I's, that there's no issues within the clubhouse. If there is an issue, that gets rectified in short order, all of those things. But you also, as a major league manager, need to pay attention. Like, what Chisholm did was wrong. And I'm one that embraces personality. I'm one embraces go out there and not necessarily show opposing pitchers up, but understand that, if you hit a big home run, you should be able to emote. You should be able to show emotion without having the next pitch thrown at your head, right? I'm all for that, right? Not for throwing at people. I'm all for showing your emotion, showing your personality. Everyone's a little bit different. What separates us all? Not only, obviously, one of the big things is our personalities. Everyone's personality is a little bit different. Not everyone is one and the same, right? We all know that, right? We learned that as young kids, right? Everybody's a little bit different. All good, right? You got to embrace our differences. And with all that being said, that's what you got to do on the major league level. But what Chisholm did was wrong. That's not showing personality. That's just being disrespectful to the game. There's a proper way and an improper way to approach it. You are a professional athlete. This is not Little League Baseball. You're not playing Babe Ruth. Even if you were doing that, I would get yelled at playing, in Pearl River, New York, Anderson Field. I'd get yelled at by my manager when I was, first baseman, third baseman for the Mets on the major league level. If I showed up and went out there and started playing my position defensively with a lollipop in my mouth. Can't do it. So what Chisholm did was wrong. I'm not excusing it. It was wrong. Can't be stepping up into the batter's box with it on a cold evening up at Fenway Park. Can't be doing it when he's playing defense against the Detroit Tigers at second base. With all that, though, Boone's got to pay attention. It can't be brought to his attention after the game. It also can't be brought to his attention during an interview that had happened during the course of the regular season before. That's the concerning aspect. Got to open up your eyes. We got to see. Got to pay attention to what is going on. As far as Cody Bellinger is concerned, listen, this is why I love Bellinger as a player, and I've talked about him before. Right? Bellinger is one of those guys that you love because there's really not much weakness to his game. Right? I'm not telling you that he's Judge. He's not Shohei Ohtani. Right? He's not that caliber. He's a guy that's been an MVP, but, he's refound himself as a player after he had the drop-off and found himself in Chicago. And, the big debate this offseason was what he was going to get paid by the Yankees as he hit, MLB free agency and whether or not, Steve Cohen and the Mets were going to come out there and get him. But he's a gamer. Like, what you love about Bellinger is he does a lot of things. He plays the game the right way. He's a guy that you inherently trust to give you a quality at bat in a big-time spot. Not necessarily saying that he's going to be great every single time. But as we talked about and kicked off the show this morning and talked about the fact that the Yankees last night left 6 on base and they were 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Well, I mean, you look at a scenario and say to yourself, well, what makes Bellinger really good? Well, what makes Bellinger really good is that you inherently trust him when he's got a guy on base, that he's going to come through, right? There's other guys in that lineup that are not going to give you a big-time quality at bat. Or you have a lack of trust, right? And severe reservations about. You can't make that argument about Cody Bellinger. And last night, not only offense, it had nothing to do with his offense, but the defense. I mean, in that bottom half of the fourth inning, 2 out, Yankees trailing 2-1, throwing out Riley Green at home plate. To the point where if you go back and watch the replay, which is something I like to do, it's almost like Cody Bellinger did a double take and couldn't believe that Riley Green, because if you watch it, the ball was in Bellinger's glove out in left field right around the time that Riley Green was hitting third base. And he almost did a double take saying to himself, wait a second, you're actually going to try and score here on this play? Now, from the Tiger perspective, you're going to say, well, there's 2 outs. We're going to challenge him to go out there and make the throw. And for Bellinger, though, you inherently trust that he is going to go out there and make that throw. Like you think about big-time throws they make last year, Subway Series against the Mets out at Citi Field, right? He's a wonderful defensive player, can play multitude of different positions, can play every single outfield position. You stick him out in center field, you'll be A-okay. You can go out there and play a little bit of first base as well. Like, there's things that you love about Bellinger. He's a gamer, high baseball IQ, gets the game, always thinking about it, understands where the baseball needs to go, and there's an inherent trust when you're looking at Cody Bellinger, the baseball player. And last night, I think you have a little bit of a deeper appreciation for Bellinger on a day-in, day-out basis, especially when you don't have guys like Judge and Stanton and Grisham in the lineup, and really what Bellinger can provide and the multiple aspect to where he can impact the game, not only offensively but defensively, and you saw it last night in the 4-3 victory for the Yankees out in Detroit against the Tigers. I'll give you a name to keep in mind. Now, it is, as you see in the sidebar, Yankee Dream. And it is a dream, right? I don't know if it's a fever dream or if it's if it's even a possibility. Like, if you want to really dream about the possibility of who the Yankees would love to get to be their catcher, you'd have to look no further, than Hunter Goodman out in Colorado with the Rockies, who's hitting .243 on the season, 21 home runs, 39 RBIs. His OPS is around 821, right? You love the fact that, Hunter Goodman, I think when you look at his home and road splits, he's actually hit more home runs on the road this year than he has at home, right? Away from home, away from Coors Field or a rarefied area, he's got 14 home runs, 25 RBIs. At home, he's got 7 home runs, 14 RBIs. He's hitting $198 at home. He's hitting .282 on the road. Think about that. As we look at, that is the outlier when you're looking at it. So you say to yourself, well, who could the Yankees potentially get? And if you're Colorado, And I'll be realistic with you on this Wednesday, right? If you're Colorado and you trade a guy like Hunter Goodman, who's not making any money, who hit 31 home runs a year ago, and you say to yourself, well, he's a guy that I'm going to move, then why go out there? He's not making any money. There's no reason for Colorado to continue as a baseball club, right? That's being realistic, right? No matter what a team is willing to offer, right? Given the ABS system, less of an emphasis on pitch framing, all that kind of things. But if you want to talk about is we thrown out ideas of who the Yankees potentially could go out there and add, and he's a right-handed hitting catcher. I mean, that's just the cherry on the top as well. Who the Yankees could go out there and add as a catcher. Well, we've talked about Adley Rutschman. We've talked about Ryan Jeffers. The Mets have got a couple catchers that would be intriguing if you're the Yankees, but it's hard to envision David Stearns as he's meeting with the media yesterday, and talking about, being frustrated or how things have not gone well, that the Mets are exactly going to help out the Yankees. The Mets are trying to get themselves back to relevancy and trying to give their fans something to root for and show up for out at Citi Field the rest of this regular season. That's not the issue for the Yankees, who've got a 3-game lead in the American League East and are, 16 games over the 500 mark. But they're looking to try and plug some holes on this team. And one of the holes is obviously the catcher spot. And Goodman would be a guy that would be intriguing. It would cost you a ton. Like if you envision what it would cost you, and if the Rockies ever made him available, well, I mean, I think any package would have to talk, start with a Spencer Jones. I mean, and then you'd have to add, and look at some a Lagrange. I mean, look at some of the young arms on this Yankee team. Would you be willing to give up that, or do you necessarily need? Do you need to see? Do you need to start shopping at Bloomingdale's, or do the Yankees necessarily need? I mean, right now, they're probably, when you look at their catching situation, they're probably more at, I would say, Walmart. I don't know if they necessarily need Bloomingdale's, but maybe they need like Macy's. If you, go out there, and I understand we all shop online in today's day and age, but you get the reference. Like Goodman would be Bloomingdale's. Jeffers would be Macy's. The Yankees catching situation right now is like Walmart. And I like Walmart. Good store. It is. It doesn't necessarily get everything you need. If you're looking to build a championship team, I'm not trying to disparage anything, but you get the point. Point being is the Yankees have a pressing need there. Hunter Goodman would be a guy that would be the Yankees' dream scenario. I don't know if it's necessarily going to happen. I think it's more pie in the sky stuff. It would have to be, the Yankees would have to get really uncomfortable as an organization in order to get him out of Colorado. But there's things to like. There's no doubt. He's in his mid-20s. He's showing off the power. He's not rarefied air reliant. His numbers on the road are better than they are at home, which is amazing when you think about it. And that would be the Yankees' dream. Does that dream become a reality? Well, we're not all that far off. We're sitting here in late June. MLB trade deadline is 5.5 weeks away. Crazy when you think about it. Good win for the Bombers last night. The Chisholm antics. Got to take the good and the bad with Chaz Chisholm. I don't think there's any doubt about it. But no more lollipops in the field or up at the batter's box. And Boone's got to open up his eyes and pay attention to what's going on. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Have yourself a wonderful Wednesday. I'm Marc Malusis, Yankees Latest, Fan Arch Network.